So, you said you were in the military. Maybe give us a little bit more background of, how you got into the game system design side of things in life, and then being brought onto the Star Atlas team. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, sure. So in high school, I knew I wanted to work with space stuff, and I was kind of gearing towards rockets because I was building those model rockets in high school as part of one of my science classes, and I was like, man, this is super cool. So I ended up wanting to work in the space industry, but I also my dad was in the Air Force and kind of grew up in a military family. And I was like, I wanna serve as well. So the mixture of
Right.
of Air Force and space kind of led me towards lo- led me towards working as an officer in the Air Force, working on satellites and space technologies. So I served for 5 years and built a lot of really cool stuff and worked on a lot of really neat satellite and ground systems projects. But I found over my 5 year career in the military that I really wanted to get my hands dirty with more engineering and less kind of uh, managerial officer type roles. So I ended up getting out after 5 years in the Air Force and joined the civilian space sector, where I continued to work on Department of Defense satellites and and space systems. So I did that for a few years, and I realized that I woke up every day really excited about crypto because I had
Yeah.
found crypto in 2016, and I was continuing my day job. But every single day, if I really took a step back and it's like, what excites me? It wasn't necessarily going to work every day. It was about getting like being on crypto Twitter and investing and just being part of the whole emerging decentralized and crypto assets movement.
Right.
So it was in 2021 where I finally just decided, hey, I'm in a good spot in my life. I kind of want to just go for it,
Hmm.
jump into the deep end. And I asked my employer, I'd like to almost like take a sabbatical. I'd like to take a few years off and go and just try to work in the crypto industry. And they said, yeah, like that makes sense. You're at a good turning point in your career. You're more than welcome to come back and join us whenever you want. Doors open. So I took that leap, and I quit, and without an actually a job in place. I just went, and I had money saved up. I went and just gave myself time to figure out what I wanted to do. So I knew
Okay.
it was going to be crypto, and I was researching middle of 2021, I was researching a bunch of crypto opportunities. And originally, I was thinking CeFi or centralized finance things like crypto lending and or or like crypto bank accounts. And it it was just my what I thought was an easy way to get into the crypto space. And then I was looking at DeFi, and then as I was like, well, maybe I don't want to join a centralized kind of service provider. Maybe I want to join a DeFi project. And I was looking into that, and over the course of my weeks and uh, even going into months of research, I started realizing that crypto gaming was taking off and becoming, especially with Axie Infinity and then these other
Hmm.
emerging projects. I was realizing that that's a really cool new space. So I was like, okay, well maybe gaming, since I'm an avid gamer, I've always loved gaming. Maybe gaming and crypto is a good kind of intersection of my interests. So I started looking to crypto gaming projects, and I eventually found Star Atlas, and I saw some of Michael Wagner's interviews, and I'm like, man, this game is ambitious, but it's also something that I feel like over the long term will be extremely successful. And I also love space and sci-fi. So it was weird. Now we're merging almost everything that makes me like me as far as my passions of space and gaming and crypto all in one package. And I had to
Right.
reach out. So I reached out and I asked, hey, this is my background. Do you guys need somebody like me? And so I heard back from Kelsey, at the time, and we hopped on a call and we vibed, and we kind of had similar mindsets as well as passion. And then he said, "You need to talk to Danny Floyd," and I ended up talking to Jacob as well in the same call because they weren't sure if I was going to be more on the engineering side or the gameplay side. And we
Right.
realized that when I talked that I really fit well underneath Danny as a game systems designer, somebody who thinks about game mechanics and crafting trees and just has a we were trying to apply my background in space towards
Hmm.
some of the game mechanics. So I ended up being brought on and worked under him, and my first assignment was really just to start thinking about how do you craft our spaceships in the game, what technologies are used, what resources, how does it happen, and it was a lot of just learning and iterating and just coming and brainstorming for the first few months. And then obviously a lot of people are familiar with kind of my debut where I came onto town halls and I dropped a lot of alpha,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
ever since
I
then
remember.
my
Hmm.
role's been kind of evolving. I've gone
Right.
from less focused on just and crafting and resource generation, and more on just the gameplay loops in general. So how does space combat work, and how does exploration work? I'm kind of wearing a lot of hats in the gameplay department, and I'm finding that I'm actually pretty uniquely suited for this job. I didn't know before last year that I'm good at game design, and I'm finding that a lot of my background and my talents lend themselves to this. So I'll stop there. And I just
Mhm.
was saying that I'm really
Yeah.
enjoying my job, and I'm like, it's just the most amazing opportunity and blessing in my life. And it's crazy how everybody else on the team kind of feels the same way for them. They're like, this opportunity to work on this project is amazing, inspiring, and just everybody's passionate. So
Yeah, man, that's an amazing background. There's a lot to unpack there. So,
yeah,
shout out to Kelsey for picking you up and hearing your vision out and thinking that you were the right person to bring onto the team. Because I can say now, I think you were the right person, and I do want to say, thank you for your service. You're a super intelligent dude, and I think having that engineer background is super. It's gonna help a lot, and I think we're gonna see that once the game comes out.